Hello, Lisa Moore here. I am still in our hotel room here in Lansing, Illinois, just a little south of Chicago, at our 18 unit. And I wanted to give an update. We've been here just over a week now. So we got here last Wednesday. So I wanted to go through and give an update on what we've been doing, how it's going, what's going well, what hiccups have we run into, things like that. So yes, overall, it's been going really well. It's been a lot of fun. We just enjoy these type projects. So it's been not a perfect, smooth week, but overall, we have not hit anything major. So yeah, where to start? So my husband is GCing it, John. We were originally going to hire a GC, and it was just working out better for us to do it ourselves. It's what we do. We've done multiple rehabs, so in hindsight, we were kind of like, why did we even attempt to hire a GC? That's just what we're good at. John is amazing at finding. There's always so many little things that come up. For example, the heat registers. So there's baseboard heaters, and a lot of them, not a lot, but enough of them are looking kind of beat up and crappy that we need to do something, either replace them, fix them, repair them, something. But some of them are completely missing sections of the metal and stuff like that. And so we try to do some research, and they're expensive to replace. And I think we did the math, and it would have been like $18,000 or $20,000 to replace all of them that we needed to. And we're like, that's ridiculous. Like they don't need, the heating element is fine. It's all just cosmetic. So, and he posted on a couple different websites, and people were like, oh, just buy them. And it's like, okay, if you're buying, if this was our personal house and we had one heat register, baseboard heater that wasn't working, sure, we would just go buy a new one and be fine. But when you're looking at 18 units that may need some, it adds up quickly. Like everything really gets amplified, the costs and the savings, because we've got 18 units. So after kind of striking out to see if people had any kind of suggestions or ways that they had done it in the past, he just kind of started digging a little deeper and just really trying to think of what he could do. A few different solutions. So one of them using actual just baseboards and screwing the baseboards to the exterior. He'd actually found some people that had done that. It looked good. So that was one option. And then actually we have our main maintenance guy. He's our handyman maintenance. He's done almost the entire rehab at our duplex. We converted to a fourplex. He's absolutely amazing. His brother actually lives here and is about 10 minutes away from the property we bought, coincidentally. And he is also awesome. So he connected us, and he had in the past used some metal from some sort of roofing material. And so he repaired one of them with that roofing type metal. He's like, yeah, this is a few bucks. I think under $5, I think it was, for enough metal to repair and not replace the entire baseboard, but to just make it look good and replace either like the top piece or the front piece. And it looked good. We could paint it, and great solution. It took him, I think he said, like 20 minutes as far as time-wise, to kind of take the remnants of the old one off and put on the new one. But and then there was a third solution that they had. I can't remember what some other type of metal from something. I know he did the roofing, but I can't remember what they were. But essentially, he had found a couple solutions. Of course, our main concern is always safety. And we don't want metal that has sharp edges, because if a little kid's crawling around, grabs it, touches it, we don't want them to get cut. We don't want anything to start on fire. that was probably my biggest concern with the baseboards. I'm going, is that safe? Is that going to get too hot? And John pointed out in multiple units, the amount of crap that tenants have, whether they intentionally threw it into the baseboard heater or it just ended up there, whatever the case, lollipop, the paper lollipop handles, the paper cover, plastic things, just all sorts of things that adults and kids had somehow gotten into the heater. And the plastic stuff wasn't melted. The paper stuff wasn't going up in flames, wasn't even showing burn. So we were comfortable knowing, okay, if that stuff's not going up in flames and that stuff's not getting burned or melted, then obviously we don't have to worry. I actually don't know what his final decision has been, because I know John was doing kind of one of them with the baseboards, the other with the metal. The metal is definitely cheaper. Using baseboards, I think it was around $15 or $20 material. I could be wrong on that, but he's still sort of in process of figuring that out. But either way, whatever solution it is, it's going to be literally a fraction, like pennies on the dollar, to what just going and buying all new baseboard heaters. Like I said, if this was one we needed to replace in like the common area or one of the units, we would just go and buy it and be like, okay, put the new one on. It's not worth trying to, in that case, save hundreds of dollars. When you're amplifying it, it was 100% worth spending the time to figure that out. And that's what John enjoys doing, and that's what he's good at. So there's been a lot of things. Closet doors. I may have said this in another video because we had decided this. When we were here over New Year's for that trip, I took all the closet doors off all the bedroom closets. I personally don't like closet doors. At our house, we just have like a walk-in closet, our spare bedroom. I ended up putting curtains over our closet, the closet in there. But closet doors, for the living room, for coat closets and stuff like that, we're keeping the closet doors. But for the bedrooms, took all the closet doors off. If we get a tenant that proves to be a good tenant and says, hey, I really want closet doors, we'll put some on. But they won't be the bifolds. Those are crap. They always break, come off, whatever. So if we do add any closet doors at the request of a good tenant, we'll do more French style doors. And even in the entry closet, so when you walk in the front door, the entryway, there's a coat closet right there. Even those, they had, I think all of them were like the bifold. And what we're doing with those, some of them need new doors. Most of them don't. So with those, we're keeping the two doors because we know that they're sized for that space, taking off all the hardware for the bifold aspect of it, including along the outside, like on the wall and whatnot. We don't want any remnants of there having been closet doors in the bedrooms, and we don't want the remnants and the runners in the coat closet. So taking all of that off, getting down to just the wood panel of the doors, and just adding hinges to it. So it'll be the French style doors. We will have to add a spacer on the edge of the wall so it doesn't hit when it opens up. So you do have to make sure you install it correctly. But to buy those, I think when we looked into the ones that would have fit for that, and it would have been custom sizing. So now you're getting, $1,000 or whatever for stupid closet doors. Some of the cheaper ones I think we found for around $500. But having to special order a size definitely makes it more expensive. But those doors fit in there. So just taking those existing doors, we'll paint them so they look good, fresh coat of paint, and put new hardware on them. And now we'll have doors that we don't have to worry about. Oh, and then to keep them closed because they don't have, a doorknob with the latch to stay closed. just put magnets. You can put magnets on the inside, on the top, so it's just enough to keep the doors closed. And those will look way nicer, they'll function way better, and we won't have the issues and the maintenance calls of my closet doors are broken, it's off the hinge, it's off the slider. So that was another thing we're doing. But we've just really been going through and figuring out what to do. Hardware for the kitchen. So there's the kind of, I'll say standard, they're just a common kitchen handle, and it's basically just like a circular rod and it's straight across. And I know we did a video on this when we were buying them. At Lowe's, you can buy them anywhere. Lowe's sells a large box for a fraction of the cost. So they look exactly the same. So the ones that you were to buy that are like the individuals or maybe a 10-pack, I think they were $7, $6 or $7 a handle to purchase one. And they're solid, they feel solid metal, they're a lot heavier. The pack, so the pack of, it was either 25 or 30 of them, is $28. So it must be a pack of 25 because they're all just over $1. So for just over $1, we can buy the bulk pack. The difference is they're hollow. So when they're not attached and you're just holding them in your hand, you can definitely feel the weight difference. But when they're on the cabinets, you can't tell. We've used these now in a few kitchens that we've remodeled. They look exactly the same. They look good. You cannot tell that they are hollow, and they are literally a fraction of the cost. Again, if this was one kitchen we were doing, not a big deal. But buying those bulk pack of those hollow ones that are just over $1 compared to the ones that are $7 that look exactly the same, that's several $1,000s of savings that we had. And you know, a lot of these things, it's like a few $1,000s here, a few $1,000s there. If it was like one thing that was like a couple $1,000s or a few $1,000s, but the stacking of all these savings is becoming tens of thousands of dollars for us. So that is huge. We are going to be able to do a lot more rehab at the units than we had originally thought we were going to be able to do. John, being able to speak Spanish has been a huge asset. Every time we go to Home Depot, he pretty much is talking to people. And I don't know if it's just the time of year, if it's the market here, but we have been able to find some great contractors, great subs to come and do all of the trades. The cabinets, I mean, we're getting the cabinets installed, which part of me I'm like, man, how are they making money? But around $300 to install the cabinets. And there's, I think, 12 cabinets total, roughly 6 base cabinets, 6 uppers, somewhere around there. And I mean, they were busting that out in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And they're in there with their laser level, making sure everything's level, things like that. So they're able to get that done for way cheaper than we had planned, which is awesome. So the kitchen, let's see, we've got the cabinets, buying those at Home Depot. Lowe's does not have, so if you're doing a kitchen, pay attention to the material you're putting in. We love the look of the shaker cabinets. The issue with the ones that we were using from Lowe's, if this was a single family home, if this was a flip, something like that, we'd probably use nicer cabinets, but we would probably do the shaker. But the fact that it's rentals, the MDF material in those cabinets, a little bit of moisture, a little bit of water, and those cabinets will swell. We put in a brand new kitchen. So the property in 2026 Madison that we had purchased, we bought that in 2021 and we redid everything. And one of the kitchens in one of those units is probably like, the people that live there kind of destroyed it. They were using just spilling water everywhere. Some of the stuff, I don't even know how they made, like, sometimes you see stuff that tenants do, and I'm like, how did you manage to do that? Like, I would actually really like to know how you're able to damage things in that way. Like, that's a talent. And this group of people that live there, it was a talent for how they were able to damage things. But the liquid, the steam, things like that just really beat up those cabinets. And despite we were hoping that if we knew that they were going to be that bad, we wouldn't have done them from the beginning. But Lowe's doesn't have like a fully encapsulated cabinet. At Home Depot, it's not that it's a little more dated looking style. And so wouldn't be it's not our first choice, but they're like fully encapsulated in this like plastic, I don't even know, some sort of plastic paint thing. So if they get water splashed on them, spilled on them, they're far more durable than the MDF ones that don't have that. And Home Depot sells those as well. But Home Depot is the only place we've found, well, I shouldn't say the only place, between Home Depot and Lowe's does not have those cabinets that are just like fully encapsulated in this plastic that is far more durable against the water and steam and things like that. So we've been using those, and because we have a pro account, we always go to the pro desk and are always able to get additional discount from what we purchase with them because of the volume that we do. So our cabinets are averaging, I think, $1,600 or $1,700 for the full kitchen, for all the cabinets for the kitchen. And install $300, which I'm still like, man, like we need to keep checking with the guys, make sure you're still making money, right? Like, this has got to be a win-win. Like, we're all for paying as little as we can, but not at the expense of you guys walking out of here being like, what the F, I'm not making any money. So a lot of what John's been doing is just making sure like, hey, like, we obviously want to pay as little as possible, but it still needs to be enough for you. But the fact that John has done many of these things, so there's stuff that he did, he's like, okay, it took me 30 minutes, it took me an hour, 2 hours, $100 an hour, 200, like, so he's kind of able to work it out and then talk to them, be like, okay, this is how long it took me. This is how, it should take you this long. This would be making you $50 an hour, $75 an hour, $100 an hour at this cost. Is that like, are you good with that? So that's how John's been sort of negotiating with the contractors. And the countertops we're getting, I think it's going to be quartz countertops, not granite, but we're getting the countertops, the material, install, sink, it's less than $1,000. It's like just under $900. And again, I'm like, how are they doing that for like $900? And this isn't like one tradesperson. Like, we had multiple people say they could install the cabinets for around $300. We had multiple granite people come in. I think there's like 4 or 5 that said they could all do it for that $800, $900, under $1,000 range, which is awesome. It's much less than what we thought we were going to be paying. So that's been really, really good. And I know I talked about this, there's no lights on the ceilings of majority. There's a kitchen light, there's a hall light, there's a bathroom light. The 3 bedrooms, I think, might have a light right outside the kitchen, but not in like the living room. It's all one room, but not over like the main living room area. So we have been figuring out what to do with that, because we really want to put lights there, and we were making the assumption that it was going to be expensive to put the wire in the wall. And so John was trying to figure out wire molding. That was another thing. He spent some time. This ended up not being needed, but wire molding, again, if we were doing one light, go to Home Depot, pay the 30, 40, 50 bucks for the strip, whatever. Again, you amplify that where we need, I think it's 84 lights between all the units. So 84 lights when you're spending, several $100s on the wire molding to get enough of what we need. So John again was like, there's got to be a cheaper place to buy this. So he did some research and he found a place where it was, again, like pennies on the dollar, saving thousands and thousands of dollars on the wire molding. I think in total it was $400 or $500 he paid for all the wire molding that would be needed for all 84 lights, which would have been, I'd have to, it was, yeah. I think that one was like close to like $8,000 or $9,000 of savings. Like it was insane. But again, like John willing to take the time to like, there's gotta be a cheaper way. Like I get why Home Depot and Lowe's charge what they charge for this, because most people are coming in and buying 1 or 2 pieces of it. Not, we would need 3 or 4 for every light, and you're multiplying that by 84 lights. So he found a supplier for, it was like $400 or $500 for all of it. He had the electrician come in to quote installing those lights, and there's a few other things that we needed done as well. And the electrician's like, yeah, he goes, I can do, the wire mold and install these lights for 50 bucks. John was thinking like maybe 30. It took him like 20 or 30 minutes to start to finish to do the wire mold, the light and everything. And the guy's like, but it would probably be better if you put the wire in the wall. And we said, we'd like to, but like, what is that going to cost? And then you've got, how much drywall repairs are going to be and all that stuff. And he says, it would be an extra 25 bucks for me to put it in the wall. And he goes, I don't have to cut out like we were thinking he'd have to cut out like a strip from where the outlet is all the way up through the ceiling and just have this giant swath of section of drywall gone. He's like, no, he goes, I'll have to just put some holes. He goes, ones that you could, you wouldn't have to do any like major drywall repair. It'll be easy to patch it up. And we're like, wish we knew this before we bought all that wire mold. But again, that was only like $400 or $500, and it's going to be way better to have the wires in the wall. And as he had said too, which was one of our concerns, he says, if somebody comes and inspects here, he goes, you might have an inspector that's fine with it, but you might have an inspector that's like, okay, you need to have this secured every X amount of inches because you don't want a kid coming and ripping it off, which was also our concern and things like that. So for 25 bucks more, we'll be able to have the wire within the walls, which would be great. And again, now when you enter a room and you flip the switch, it'll actually turn a light on. Because all of the units most of them just felt really dark because they literally don't have any lights. So that was awesome. And buying the lights, we always just normally we buy them at Costco. And when they're on sale at Costco, I think they're like $30 or $40. Home Depot or Lowe's, there was similar ones that weren't quite as good for like 50 or 60. Like the same ones were around 80 bucks. And I found some on Amazon and they were normally just under 20. And I just happened to pop on to Amazon again, buying something, and saw that those lights were, which normally like, Amazon always sends, hey, this item that you looked at 10 years ago is on sale. And I didn't get any alert that these were on sale, but the lights were on sale for like 60-something% off. Like we got all the lights for just over $10 per light. And again, having to buy 80, we actually have to buy, we had to buy 22 packages, 22 boxes, 8 in a box, because not only do we need them for the units, but the hallways also needed the lights replaced, because I don't know if there was a single hallway light where all the lights worked and actually produced, enough light to see. So all of those also had to be replaced. So I think we were 110, 120, somewhere around there, lights that we needed to buy. And I was so glad I popped on to Amazon because I was like, holy shit, these are on sale for just over $10. And so I bought 22 boxes of them. Those would have been a big savings from the Lowe's and Home Depot anyways, because even at $20 a pop as opposed to like 60 to 80, and Costco to buy that many, like I don't even know if we could have. These are not quite as nice looking as the ones at Costco or Lowe's, Home Depot. Those ones all kind of look the same. But they still look nice. They're still brand new. They're LED. They're super bright. So we were able to save a ton of money on the lights as well by doing a little shopping around as well. So, yeah, what else have we been doing? Flooring. There's a couple of units that need flooring. So because only a couple of units need flooring, are we going to, just pay whatever somebody quotes us? No. But again, because that's not going to cost us that much and it's only 2 units, that's not something where we're going to be like, okay, we need to find how can we hugely cut costs on this? Because it's only 2 units. So that we're not as concerned with. For a few bucks a square foot, we should be able to find flooring, install, and be good to go. What else is there? So I think I covered the kitchens. Oh, appliances. Appliances. We are switching everything to stainless steel when we need to replace appliances. I was kind of surprised because when we first walked the property, when we were under contract, back in November, I think it was November. I don't remember there being a lot of new appliances. And maybe everything else was not as expected. So I know as we were walking the units, we were like, what the hell? So we kind of got a little derailed on our expectations and our plans of how we were looking at things. I don't remember there being a lot of new appliances, but when we were here, once we closed and we came and we were walking all the empty units, there's a lot of new appliances. And I was like, I can't imagine they just recently bought these, but I mean, a lot of them had never been used, still had the stickers on them. You could tell that nobody ever used them. So that was really good. Right now, out of the 7, I have to walk the other units and see. We have to do new dishwashers because we're adding those. None of the units have a dishwasher. We're adding that in. So obviously all of them need a dishwasher. 2 stoves we've bought so far and 1 fridge. There's a few units that just don't have a fridge, including ones that people were living in. So I'm not entirely our tenants freak out. We'll have the power go out, which has nothing to do with us. Just the power goes out and our tenants are like, everything in our fridge. I'm like, power's been out for 5 minutes. You'll be okay. You don't need a new fridge. If the power is out everywhere, then it's not just there. Our tenants, when it comes to the fridge and their food, are so a little bit too, what's the word? They very quickly get very worried about their fridge. So the fact that there was multiple tenants here that just don't have a fridge, I was like, how are they not supplying a fridge? But I know there are some landlords that don't supply fridges. So there's also that. That's not common in Utah. So we supply the fridge. But I have talked to other investors who said in their area, yeah, no, we don't supply fridge. That's up to the tenants, which to me is weird just because that's just not standard. That's just not how it is in Utah. If we were to try and rent a unit and tell people, oh, fridge is not included, you have to supply your own, we'd probably have a really difficult time renting a unit. So getting all the new appliances, and luckily the appliances they bought, they weren't stainless steel, but they were black. And a lot of the stainless steel stoves and dishwashers have black in them, or you can get them that have black on them. The stoves that are stainless steel, still have some level of black, so it still ties in with the black appliances, so it still looks good, which is nice. So the appliances, and then We went over like the heaters. Oh, painting. We are hoping to be able to touch it because there's a handful of units. Actually, of the 7 units that are vacant, only 2 of them needed full paint. But because we can't match the paint that's there, we did try to get a match. And even if you have a can of paint and you've got whatever your agreeable gray that you painted your living room with, and 10 years goes by, or even 5 years, pending a lot of factors, but trying to touch up, odds are like that paint that's on your wall will have faded, will have gotten dirty, something. So when you do use that same exact can, you can still notice the touch-ups. And we just couldn't get a match where it didn't look obvious that, okay, this may be the same color, but it doesn't look it. So unfortunately, that was one unexpected thing that we're hoping to not have to pay for, but it looks like we're going to, is we're going to end up just painting every unit. When you try and touch up, even when you have the exact color, like I said, if it's been multiple years, sometimes the way that paint fades or dirt or whatever, it still looks like, it doesn't look like it's the same color. And then you get to the point where it's like, okay, if I have to touch up like a patch here, then I might as well just paint the whole wall. And then it just like grows from there. And the fact that we can't get the same color, we're going to end up just painting all of the units. And even the ones that didn't need a paint job, the paint job that they did was really shitty. And my husband, having been a painter for 20 years, definitely notices all of these things. Every place we go, and I do it now too, just because of him, because he's always pointing things out. I don't think there's a place that we go to where we're not noticing like the issues with the paint, or where they painted the wall color got on the baseboards, or vice versa, or where the ceiling, where that line is of the ceiling and the wall, it doesn't look all crappy. And all those things like we notice. So we're just going to end up painting all of the units so they have a fresh coat of paint and fresh paint on the trim and baseboards as well. So it'll look a lot better. Actually, I think they just finished it yesterday. So I'm curious to see one of the units that it needed some touch-ups, but it didn't need full paint. But again, back to we couldn't really touch it up. I'm curious to go in there and see if I notice a big difference, because that was one thing that we're like, okay, let's do this one and see if we really notice like, okay, this actually does look a lot better. Let's just paint all of them, because the other thing is just leave them, and not the ones that are bad, definitely paint, but the ones that we originally didn't think we'd have to paint. If we don't notice a huge difference in that one unit that we sort of like are testing, then we may not paint the other units. But if I walk in, it's like, actually, yeah, this looks a lot better. Then we'll end up going ahead and painting all of them. So that was something we weren't expecting to have to pay for, but it's still up in the air. But my guess is we'll probably end up having to paint all the units. So that's an expense we weren't expecting, but because of all the other cost savings, we are still like, we've got our budget of like $210,000 for rehab. We're still within that because of the money savings, one from us GCing it ourselves, and just all the cost savings that John has been able to find along the way, as well as me on finding lights and things like that. So we'll still be within budget, but now we know we'll be able to paint and do all that. And bedrooms are all basic, just paint. Bathrooms, luckily none of the bathrooms, there's 2 bathrooms we haven't seen yet, because there's 2 units, there might have been 3, that we didn't get to see when we did the walkthrough, and just judging by the rest of the place, we just were assuming it's going to need everything. The one thing that every unit, even the super dirty, gross ones, the bathrooms were all good. All have tile surround. All the tubs were good. A couple of them might need new faucets. But overall, we are really happy that the tubs and the surrounds were good, because that, again, would just be another expense. And luckily, and some of them look like they've been done like very recently. So that was really good. We're happy that at least that aspect of it was good. In the vanities, I'd say 80% of the vanities are good. I know there's a few that we need. When we did the inspection, I had noted that we'll need a few vanities. And we're going to do bigger vanities. So some of the vanities they have are just those ones where it's like just a sink, there's no space on the sides. And they have, like, we can fit a 36-inch vanity there and still have space space to the walls. So the next standard size up, I don't think would fit in there. And there's also just some of the electrical, like it's not worth us putting it all the way wall to wall. But adding the 36 would be a huge upgrade to those vanities. So the ones that we have to replace now, we'll add the 36, and then just over time, as the other ones need to be, we can upgrade them to bigger ones. But again, just a few of those we have to do. A few interior doors, not a ton. There was one unit where almost everyone, if not everyone, had to be replaced just because they just beat the crap out of them. But I think there's only been one unit that we've had to replace interior doors in so far. So that's good. And yeah, I think that's the bulk of the rehab stuff. So it has, I mean, just us, the biggest cost savings by far has been us GCing it. We're well below, 50% of what we were expecting to have to pay hiring someone. So us taking it back, and John doing what he does best, doing the GC stuff, is saving us an absurd amount of money. So we are going to be able to do so much more. A couple of the issues that we have run into, coincidentally, so during due diligence or during the inspection, it came back that one of the buildings, the roof is kind of at the end of its life. The other two, they said, it's got a solid 20 years left on them, if not longer. One of them, they're like, yeah, this, like, we saw the picture, they took pictures, we're like, oh yeah, that is crappy. So one of the inspection requirements was the sellers had to patch the roof because you could tell there was active leaks. So the roofing company came and patched up a handful of places on the roof. And I've never seen this before. And the roof, like I said, like, there's no question of, like, is this roof at the end of its life? At most, you could maybe get a few years out of it, like, but that would be pushing it. And when they did the repairs and we got the invoice, they guaranteed no leaks for 3 years. And I'm like, I have never seen a roofing company guarantee no leaks for 3 years, especially on a roof this age. A brand new roof, yeah, I can see that. This one, I was like, wow. So I had just emailed them, I think it was yesterday, just saying, hey, you did some roof patch on the property we just purchased, and on your invoice, you had the 3-year guarantee on no water leaks, but we'd like to have you give us a quote on what it would cost to just put a new roof on. We know that we're going to need it in the near future. And again, back to, we're saving so much money on the rehab that we want to spend that full $200. It's budgeted for, it's in the numbers, and we want to upgrade the building as much as possible. And it's looking like we'll be able to do that roof and add all these things on and still stay within our $200,000. So I just emailed him yesterday, just asking if he can give us a quote on what it would be to replace it. Part of me is like, did they do that? So we would see them be like, wow, guarantee. And then, have them be the ones we call when it comes time for a new roof is exactly what we're doing. So they're going to come out and give us a quote on a new roof. Just emailed them yesterday. Today, it's the first time that it's rained since we've been here. It started raining yesterday afternoon. It's been downpouring on and off. It's finally starting to let up. It's supposed to, I think it's kind of done now. But John gets there this morning, sends me a picture, and he's like, all right, well, let's call that roof company back. And there is the same leak that was there before. We're assuming it's probably the same one. So I emailed them back. I haven't checked my email yet in the last hour or so, but emailed them back, and he had responded and said, "Hey, yeah, I'll come by like Monday or Tuesday to measure and give you guys a quote." So I emailed him back just saying, "So coincidentally, we're gonna have to take you up on that guarantee because we need the roof patch. It's leaking bad." I don't know. I guess bad and is all relative. There was a puddle, maybe the size of a towel in like total, it looked like from the picture that John had sent. Not inches of water, but a puddle on the floor. So enough where we definitely it was not is this a leak? Like, did someone like spill? It was like, this is a leak. So waiting to hear back from them, and might be getting the roof done sooner than we expected. When I emailed them, I said, we're not in any rush. I said, it'll probably be this summer or whatever. But now if it's leaking, we're going to be like, okay, change of plans. Let's get that done ASAP. And we're hoping it's just going to need to be the new shingles and stuff, because when they did the inspection and he was up in the attic, he said from what he could see, all the boards, there's a term for it, my mind is blank right now, but all the boards, he said, all looked good. None of them looked like they were, sometimes you got to rip off everything and put all new plywood down and stuff. But he said the inspection report, he says, I don't think that's going to need to happen, because from what I can see when he was walking around inspecting, he goes, these all look like they're still in good condition. So it should just be ripping off all the shingles, putting new stuff down. But going to get a quote on that and get that leak taken care of. Another issue that it's definitely an issue, but it's almost just more of an annoyance. Like, seriously, people, when we did the inspection, we were walking through, in one of the buildings, there is a troubled tenant who likes to invite all of her friends over that may or may not have a home to sleep in the hallways. And we're not talking like, dozens of people, but there's been one person, I don't know if it's always the same person, but they're not there during the day. They come at night. They're gone early in the morning. And they're coming and sleeping in the hallway. And we haven't seen anything stolen. We haven't seen anything broken. They're not vandalizing anything. So, do we want it happening? No. The other tenants obviously do not like it. One of the tenants was saying they were working night shift and they came home in the middle of the night, and the person was literally like laying directly in front of their door that they had to like step over. And they're like, we don't know if this person's going to hurt us, attack us, whatever. Like, no, we don't like random people sleeping in the hallways. So, John forgot to lock the utility room, which is where we keep the keys and all that stuff. And the one vacant unit, so somehow they knew which unit was vacant in the building. And in this building, because we have 3, there's only one unit vacant in this building that the troubled tenant lives in. And he, I don't know if male or female, but John forgot to lock the utility room, and they knew what unit was vacant, and they took the key and went and slept in the unit. Again, John said they left like a couple chairs and like a blanket and a little bit of trash. Like, they didn't do any damage. They didn't vandalize or whatnot. But again, we don't want homeless people coming and sleeping in the unit and doing that. So, a few things on that. One, John's going to make sure he locks the utility rooms, and don't leave them open anymore. To the building, there's 2 exterior doors. So there's the main entrance, and you walk in, and there's a little foyer that's, literally just like a few feet wide, enough to like open the door and just have a little breezeway. And that's where the mailboxes are. There's no key to get into that door. there is a code to get through the next door, which brings you into the interior. All three buildings have the keypad. Only one of them actually works because the other ones, the door doesn't latch. And then for the exterior doors, you can't access them from outside. There's no key, so it doesn't matter if you live there or not. You can't get in through that back door, but you can exit through that back door. And those doors were not closing properly. So you may have seen earlier today, John and I had reshared last night when we were just kind of recapping the day, what happened. We're like, okay, today your number one priority is getting those doors secured. So he fixed the doors so they all close, because the exterior, the one that doesn't have the code, that's just an exit only, that one, if it opened up wide enough and it would have enough to close and latch, so you couldn't get in from the outside. But if it didn't open up enough, then it wouldn't have enough to be able to close. So he fixed that. We want to change the codes on the keypads. We want to change all of those codes, get all those doors to latch as well, and change the key codes. So we're going to have to tell all of our tenants. Obviously, there's still 3 tenants that are under the master lease that the seller is dealing with. The one problem one, I'm sure she'll just, when we give her the new code, I'm sure she'll probably just give the code to her friends, but hopefully, we're hoping it'll be a little bit of a deterrence, or if one of her friends she doesn't talk to anymore is still accessing the building, they won't be able to anymore. But she's also supposed to be out by February 15th. They have a new apartment. They're just waiting for final approval and their move-in date. But as of now, they're tentatively approved, and they're told that the 15th should be their move-in date. They just need the final okay, which should be coming any day now. So that was that's been our biggest headache tenant. They're also just disgusting, filthy people, and their unit is probably still going to be a mess. It was a mess when we walked it for the inspection. But they're literally just throwing trash out the window. So when you are walking by the building, they just all sorts of trash right down on the ground. And we had a guy come and clean up all the trash in all of the buildings. So there's 20 buildings in total in the complex. We own 3 of them. But I paid a guy just to go and pick it up in the entire complex, just because it looks so much better. One of the dumpsters it's just always full. We have to figure that out too. But this unit just doesn't apparently want to use a trash can, or doesn't want to have to bring the trash down. So they just keep throwing trash out the window. I'm like, we'll be gone in a couple weeks. So it'll be nice when they're gone. The other issue that we're running into with the master lease, I'm waiting to hear back from our attorney right now. One, we have not received payment. So there's 3 units that they're supposed to be paying us on. We are supposed to get paid by the 15th of every month. So January rent, which for all the tenants is due January 1st. Their payment to us is due January 15th. We have not received it yet. And then they sent an email last night about one of the tenants saying, okay, they've been approved for some sort of housing voucher. They'll be all caught up, and and once they're all caught up, they'll no longer be under eviction, and they'll be removed from the master lease. And I'm like, no, our master lease agreement was you would keep paying us until that unit was vacant, not until they got caught up or on some sort of housing assistance. So I had to get the attorney involved. I sent him the stuff. I'm like, this is what I signed. This is the agreement we had. This is what we sent them saying vacant. This is the response from the seller on that specific item. And they also said, these are to be paid until the units are vacant, not until they're caught up or on assistance or whatever, until the units are vacant. So we'll have to see what happens with that. We knew we just assumed, I didn't think that it would go smooth, this stuff with the master lease, with us getting paid or the tenants getting out. So we're not surprised by this. I am not shocked that we haven't received payment or that they're trying to weasel their way out of what the agreement was. Luckily, it's only 3 units. One of the tenants says they're going to be out this weekend. One of them is supposed to be out mid-February. And then this third one, they're trying to now say that they're just going to become our tenant once they are off the eviction, caught up, and we're saying no. Their unit was disgusting. They'd broken stuff. The kitchen was beat up. The bathroom was beat up. The floor, I don't know if it was paint or whatever, but they're not tenants that we want. And we want to be able to go in and update all the units and get everything nice, new, in good condition, and have tenants that are going to take care of the place and be good tenants. So that is our update. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on, on my side. It's just been trying to get the utilities set up, get all that done with the water company and the gas and the electric and the dumpsters. I think I'd already said the seller had 6 individual dumpsters that he was paying like $1,600 for, $1,400 for. I'm like, just give me one. We got 3 buildings in a row. They're literally like right next to each other. So our dumpster cost is like $290 because I'm not going to pay for 6 little dumpsters. I'm like, give me one that's equal to those and save me $1,300. So we did that. We got that dumpster. And I think that's everything. It's been a lot of time dealing with the electric company and the gas company. The electric's been the most. This week, the week that I've been here, I've probably 12 or 15 hours just dealing with utility stuff, getting it set up. And some stuff was set up wrong, so they had to fix it and all this stuff. But overall, like, the people that I've dealt with at the utility companies have actually been super nice, super helpful. It's just the process of getting things set up and getting stuff moved over and making sure everything's in the business name and our accounts are set up and trying to set up auto pays and all that fun stuff. So, but that is mostly all done. The gas, it's weird. Like, we set up the accounts, but until they issue a bill, I can't do online access and I can't set up auto pay, which I thought was a little weird. But the woman said, she goes, I don't know why the system's like this, but because I said, well, I tried to log on, it didn't work. And she goes, yep. She goes, I don't know why it's like this, but until we issue your first bill, you'll get an error saying whatever, like you can't log in for whatever reason. She goes, but wait until you get to your first bill, then you'll be able to log in, then you'll be able to do auto pay and all that. And I was like, interesting. The other thing that we're looking into is the heat. Currently, each building has a main boiler, and we are looking to switch all the heat in the units to electric heat, have electric baseboards, and so then the tenant can control their own heat, but then the tenant will also pay for their own heat. Right now, we control the temperature of the boiler, and then in the units, on the first baseboard heater, when you walk in, there's a dial that basically is just like opens and closes it. It's not like a temperature. So they can control the heat that way, but they don't pay for it. Like anything, if you're not paying for it, you have far less motivation to pay attention to how much you use. So we are looking into getting that converted. Initial numbers, it's looking like, again, because we're saving so much from us GCing it and just all the savings we've been able to do, it's looking like we'll be able to convert that and still be within our budget. Like, we're going to end up getting so much more done, so much more rehab, and increasing the value of this a lot more because just of all the savings we've been doing and GCing it ourselves and stuff. So we're still figuring out the conversion to the electric. there's still a couple things we aren't sure about. But John got a quote on like the labor and for like switching out the panel and doing all the labor for it. And so we're just pricing out the actual electric baseboard heaters and then figuring out, as far as the boiler is concerned, what we'd have to do. So to shut off the access to the units, if there's a valve, because we're not sure if we would take out the current baseboard heaters or leave them there just as like emergency backup, but we don't want them to be able to be used. So we just have to find out how that would work, if we'd have to take them out and cap them off or what that process is. So, but we're hoping that we're going to be able to convert that, because that'll be a huge savings for us. The gas bill historically has averaged about $1,600 a month. Obviously in the winter it's a lot more, in the summer it's a lot less. But to be able to cut that down by, I would think at least $1,000 would be huge. Another $1,000 a month savings would be great. So that is something we're still looking into and figuring out. But yeah, okay, I think that's everything. If you have any questions on anything, I'll be going to the property. I don't know if I'll go today. We'll definitely go tomorrow. I got some other things to finish up today, but I'll be going there definitely tomorrow and doing some videos. And I want to see one of the units. It's almost all done. It needs countertops and the lights. I don't know if the lights might be done today, but paint, cabinets, hardware, those are all installed. So I'm excited to see it. And yeah, but if you have any questions on anything that we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're choosing things, definitely let me know. Put them in the comments, shoot me a message. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have on this project. And yeah, as I said, we're really enjoying it, having a good time. It doesn't feel like in some ways it feels like we've been here forever. And in some ways it feels like we've only been here for a day. But it's been a lot of fun. We love seeing these projects come along, seeing the improvements in the buildings, and it's just what we enjoy doing, and we've been just having fun with it. So thank you for watching. If you know anyone who would find this interesting, who is looking to invest, who is looking to buy apartment buildings, or curious on how people operate apartment buildings because they're looking to invest passively and they want to make sure that they invest with a good operator, share this video with them, and make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for my future videos. So thanks for watching.